Wholesale.
Wholesale.
That's a Cherokee reading. My theme today I've actually titled this way, to move the boulder of goodness forward. And you'll see, what I'm really talking about. First thing, I'm going to cite the antiquity of humans here. We now call First Nations, Native Americans, any of that will do. The very first boulder I'm showing you, this is a wonderfully shaped rock. And what it is, it's called an eolith. An eolith means a dawn stone. And the dating for this is 100,000 years to 800,000 years. This one is from Florida Canyon here in Balboa Park. The reason I found this is because of Eric Wood's college teacher, Herb Minchell, also authored a book, Broken Stones, about these stones, and he directed me to Florida Canyon where, among others, I found this stone. I really liked the shape of it. Louis Leakey, the British anthropologist and archaeologist who advanced the theme of human evolution and supported it with his finds. And here in this country, at Calico Hills, out east of here, he found these stones, he gave it a date of 800,000 years, like 1,000,000 years. So this is the way I'm showing, the antiquity here. Even right here in San Diego, George Carter, I think of San Diego State, made the first discovery of these here and sited it at Texas Street, right up here, and so forth. So I have quite a familiarity with all of us in the archaeology of this. But all this is based on these stones. There has been some other kind of remains, but not quite as old as this. The second thing that is cultural are baskets. The oldest known baskets in the world are here from 10,000 years ago. And this is cultural. And with human remains, where humans have been interred with these baskets. In Nevada, Spirit Cave, Winnemucca, all of these begin around 10,000 years, and this is a continuous culture to this day. So that all peoples, we are saying First Nations people, all stem, certainly, culturally, from 10,000 years ago. So and I selected this one, a turtle, for Turtle Island. That's what we call our country here, Turtle Island. All this is, what this is bringing up, I had made an announcement last week. A bill has been introduced into Congress by Washington Congressman Hetch. It's called Remove the Stain Act. And what it has to do with what American heritage history does term the Wounded Knee Massacre. And it was actually in 1890, 4 days after Christmas, December 29th, took place, this terrible, terrible killing done by the United States Army on unarmed Lakota civilians. 350, 375 people were killed in this most horrible, horrible massacre. So what's brought it to light was actually a descendant of the colonel who was the commander of this, and he was a descendant. His name is Brad Upton, and he learned of this from his ancestors, what had happened. So he went to the Lakota people at Cheyenne River Reservation at a church, and he gave to them an apology for what his ancestors had done. I'm not really wanting to go too much into history, but this is just a reference here rather than making a historical report. And the part that I'm actually picking up on in this, I do have a copy of the bill, and this first came to light, Jack heard it on NPR radio November 9th. That was in June 25th this year, that this bill was introduced, and it had quite a ceremony with it and so forth. So this is very significant June, well, being the month of the summer solstice, is also with the rise of the constellation of the Pleiades, which is the stellar head of the Great White Buffalo constellation. So all this seems to be very, very relevant, to come into this. So this is actually a transcript. I'll just read basically the introduction. I'm not going to go through the whole transcript. This was on NPR. A descendant of the commander of the 1890 Wounded Knee Massacre apologized to victim descendants. Together they backed legislation to rescind 20 medals of honor given to the massacre soldiers. And the state of Washington has been known to have awarded the most Medal of Honors. And the congressman himself is a twice Purple Heart decorated Marine, I think, like that. So it has a lot to do with it. What they want is to rescind the medals that were given to the soldiers that participated in that massacre. And the part that I'm really being inspired by is a woman of the Lakota, and Dana Waloke. And she is one of the members of the 1890 Heartbeat at Wounded Knee Society, who are hopeful to remove the STAIN Act will eventually be passed by Congress. And this is what she said on the radio show, according to this transcript, and this is what inspires me. I think our kids have to know, our grandchildren, that it was a massacre, but still cannot be going on with anger because it happened, We need to forgive and heal from all that. That way, this nation, the whites and the Lakota, we can all be together, have a better world for our grandchildren. That's what we think about, is our grandchild, not us. And I have been saying, we want to acquit ourselves of his history. The recent Standing Rock with the oil pipeline and everything, the managers of the Lakota people, did very good. Said, do not do anything to incite these soldiers, because they were ready to kill. They were well armed, and nobody got shot. We said we do not want to add one more medal to the United States Army here. So, nobody got hurt. But we are continuing with this. We want to move forward, and that's why I'm citing the antiquity of Native America. Beginning in the 19th century, century of dishonor, the federal government under President Thomas Jefferson mandated the genocide. In 1850, it was just in the Tribune, the first governor in 1850, state of California, mandated a genocide. And so by 1870, they'd won. They had killed almost everybody. Everybody else after that were prisoners of war and regulated to reservations and so forth. So 1890 is 20 years after the end of what the Americans call Indian Wars, when these soldiers, 400 of them with artillery and everything, intercepted a native community and killed them. So that's why they want to remove the stain, that's what they call it, so that we can go forward, so that we can move. It's called Yuhamani. Let us continue. Let's continue our destiny. And here I have this little doll here, and she's holding a stone. In Lakota, it is Inyan Wang Yuhahi. She comes carrying the stone in her hands. Inyan is the first creator, and the symbol of Inyan is a stone. So Standing Rock, Inyan Wasolahe, that's what it means. It means not a rock standing up, but these are people committed to stand up for our country. And that's what they did with the pipeline. I have her here, I post her, she's taking a step. She's taking a step forward, like babies, they're taking their first step. And the stone that she has is actually engraved with Sanskrit word Om. And so the A, it looks like a number 3 is in Sanskrit, Devanagari, that is the letter A. So that with Indian, I'm saying all this is the way I'm saying with this display to move forward so that we can move forward. And I will just follow this with Coyote. This is Mary Clifford from the Coyote Tantras. After Coyote had seen what the white man had in mind, he called a meeting. It was held on the Great Plain, where the white man had not yet come. Indian was there, buffalo was there, squirrel and puma, bear, mountain goat, gopher, snake, deer, magpie, horse, and of course ant, beetle, wolf, raccoon, rabbit, and some others coyotes didn't see. It was a hard chore to keep them all from pecking and biting one another, but Coyote got down to business right away. "Look here, Hakia," he said. "From what I've seen, the white man is really just out for himself, Hakia, and he's going to try to kill all of us, Hakia. We ought to stick together and fight him the best we can, Hakia, Hakia." So after this speech, he looked around and he saw Indian was asleep, puma had eaten the deer, squirrel, gopher, rabbit, and raccoon had left, wolf and buffalo were giving each other dirty looks. All the others remained silent. Finally, Bear spoke up. "Rah, you might be right, Coyote, rah, but I've seen the white man, rah, and he looks like mighty good eating to me. I'll just have to wait a while, rah." And Buffalo agreed. "I'd like to get back onto my herd," he bellowed, looking straight at Wolf. "But we should all just wait and see what happens." "All right, Hakia," says Coyote. "Suit yourselves, Hakia, but don't say I didn't warn you, Hakia, Hakia." And they all went back to their places in the world. "Hakia, even when the hills are empty," says Coyote, "that will end nothing. After all, history is what we were born with. Hakia, Hakia."